Welcome to Staying Sweet, the podcast. Tune into my weekly podcast to hear me, Alice Bradley, delve deeper into building your brand and enjoying a luxury lifestyle. All while staying sweet, of course. Whether you're looking to level up in business, start something of your own, or balance a more exciting, fulfilling, and healthier lifestyle, each episode will be created especially to inspire and encourage your own success so you can really have it all. Plus, don't miss out on the Staying Sweet specials, a series of exclusive interviews and conversations with Alice Bradley's network of inspiring entrepreneurs and brand owners. Always protect your sweetness, your light is not a weakness. Don't forget, there are new episodes every Monday. For daily content, you can check out my Instagram and you can follow me at alicelucybradley. Stay sweet. So guys, hello and welcome to my very first podcast. I can't believe I finally got round to recording this. It's been an idea in the making, let's just say, and something on my vision board actually for a long time. So I have lots to talk about today, and I just want to introduce you to what Staying Sweet is going to be about, how it derived, and just what I hope for this podcast in the future. This is episode 1. We are starting this off in 2022, which I think is a really nice way to kick off the year. Something quite fresh and exciting about January and the new year. But I'm not going to bore you with saying that life is perfect and that it's been an easy run. We are in the first week of January and things have already been crazy. So I want you guys to understand that, you know, new year, new me is not always going to be the case, but sometimes you just have to take the plunge, you have to take the risk and do things out of your comfort zone where you can. So this is what I'm doing with this podcast, and January is quite a good time to kickstart all that stuff. I'm going to be talking about quite a few things today, and one of the goals for 2022 is start a podcast and launch it. So if you guys are hearing this right now, hallelujah, I've ticked something off already, and we're off to a good start. So what inspired the podcast is how I wanted to introduce you to what you're listening to right now. Firstly, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this podcast. It means the world, and I'm so grateful you're here. The podcast for me was an idea that I've had in the pipeline and just in the background of my mind for quite a while, but I just didn't really know how to execute it, and I didn't know if I had time. I'm one of those people that just has an idea, starts to roll with it, and then spreads myself too thin because I take on another idea. And I'm really hoping that this is going to be one that really sticks for me and is something that I can stay super excited and passionate about. I know I'm going to be enjoying it as I get into it. It's very new and fresh, so right now it feels quite out of my comfort zone, even though normally I will be, you know, sat in front of a camera and recording. For some reason this feels even more vulnerable, and maybe it's because I've got my headphones on and I can hear my own voice, and I'm just thinking, okay, how can I make this entertaining for my listeners? And you know, it's got to be interesting in a sense that I have no other like aids with me. I have no visual aids. I have nothing to physically show you except you are listening to my voice right now. And I don't know where you are right now when you've decided to tune into this podcast, but thank you for joining me. And I have this like visualization in my head, and I think that's where we have to start today. This visualization that some of you are on a walk, some of you are in your car driving to work, or maybe you're driving somewhere special, or you're just getting out of the house for 5 minutes, or whatever it is that you're doing. Park whatever's outside at the door and come here and just recenter yourself. And that is what I wanted this podcast to really be. I want it to be this safe, exciting space for creatives and people in the industry. So I'm not sure if they know this yet, but I met 2 people recently in the last couple of months at a magazine that I work for called Arcadia. They had a launch party back around sort of November time, I believe. And I met these 2 lovely people, Seth and Amber. Now, I really don't think they have a clue that they are part of this podcast and, you know, in some way involved in the inspiration behind it. But I met them and we just hit it off, and we decided to go for brunch, and it was a really like leisurely affair. You know, we've got our really nice like food and our coffee and our juice, and we're just chatting and we're catching up and just talking about the industry and, you know, elements of it, why I am where I am today, and just kind of my career trajectory, any advice that I could offer. And we were just sort of chatting away, and I didn't really think much of my anecdotes and my tips, but I just thought I can share what I can share. I've learned certain things and met certain people that have inspired me or taught me a lesson. So in imparting that knowledge, they kind of relayed that they saw value in that. And for me, it kind of just like sparked this idea that maybe there is some value to what I have to say in the industry. And it really got me thinking about the people that I've been lucky enough to brush shoulders with or have coffees with and sit with and, you know, have conversations with. Those people have nurtured my own growth and success. And I think if I can bring those people onto my podcast as well, that would just be incredible. I really wish there was something out there for, you know, a younger me. Looking back, I would have loved a podcast which kind of delves into unspoken areas of the industry and just a more stripped back, accessible, youthful version of, you know, journalism, photography, social media. I know social media is very young in itself and we're still learning how to use it properly, but in some way it's quite exciting to kind of collaborate all those things together. And I think I've learned little tidbits from being very broad with, you know, the work that I take on and what I do. And I've met some incredible people and learnt so many lessons, hard lessons as well. And I'm not going to say it's been easy, but if in some way these podcasts can be, you know, fun and playful and inspiring, but also educational in a sense that it just makes you think differently. If I can do that and impart that, then this podcast is going to be a success. So realizing that there was a gap in the market for creators who have merged across industries, I'm really hoping I can bring that insight from all these different industries that are coming together now. It's marketing, it's social media. I see so many young professionals out there right now navigating, having to be successful in so many different skill sets. It's unbelievable. And another thing that kind of brought me back to what I want this podcast to just envelop as a whole is this idea that we are a personal brand, whether we like it or not. And the social media handles, the profiles that we have, the platforms that we create from a very young age, whatever those usernames are, you know, that is the stepping stone from, you know, being at school and college to being a young professional out in the world, and having those professional handles, treating, you know, social media as your personal branding. I want to just bring a new light to that and excite you guys with the prospect of what you can achieve with your own personal branding. And that's not to say that you even need to set up your own business. You could be listening today and thinking, well, I absolutely love my job. I work for this amazing company. It's got great benefits. I know I'm in security. I've got a secure job and I love it. I love my colleagues, etc. There is no need for you to quit your day job and go and do something crazy like start your own business. But the opportunity is there if you want to. And also, you can still nurture a personal brand and elevate in your career in somebody else's company. That does not make you any less successful. In fact, it makes you equally as successful. There are different ways to success, different paths to success. And I really hope this podcast is going to shed some light on that. So what can you guys expect from this podcast? Now, I feel like I'm just reeling off my computer right now, and I'll be honest, I am doing that, but I feel like once we get past these few episodes and I get into it, I feel like the conversation is going to be so much easier, especially when I have guests as well. But each week I really want to offer you guys updates from me, things that are going well in my life and positive things, successes, gratitudes, that type of thing, general updates that might inspire you, things that are coming up that maybe I can get you guys involved in as well. I'm also going to be speaking candidly on a variety of topics. I've got so many lined up, guys, you are not ready. And of course, there will be specials too. So I will be interviewing people who I believe will benefit you in some way. You will always finish a podcast having picked up something. And that is what I hope from this. So yeah, I want it to be both a candid conversation with me on the industry and sort of lifestyle topics, and also offer valuable insights as well. And just people that I look up to in the industry. There are so many amazing people out there, and I'm just blessed that I have a really incredible network. So fingers crossed I can lure them in, get them in on the podcast. So what also inspired me to do a podcast, and it's quite funny because I was thinking about how I would answer this question, if there were any like signals or signs that pointed me into this direction. And I don't know if this old friend will remember what we used to do at school, but I had a friend, we both decided to get involved in our school radio. Now, the motives behind joining the radio were to do with boys, I'm not going to lie. But I did learn a lot from how to be, comfortable talking to the masses in some sort of way. And it's quite funny because, yeah, I pretty much did that to be near a boy that I fancied. But here we are today. Clearly there was a reason behind me trying to do the school radio. I also always looked up to and listened to Fern Cotton, and I was thinking about her the other day because she is such a great example of someone who has nailed her personal branding. She has this amazing wellness background now. She has her books, best-selling books. She's got this awesome rock chick indie vibe about her, and I just remember listening to her radio shows at college and tuning in and thinking, oh my god, her job is so cool. I would love to do that one day. I'd love to have the confidence to get myself out there, be on radio. So in some ways, who knows where this is going to go. It feels like it could be a stepping stone. It might just be a personal thing for me that I need to do for a few, years, months, whatever. I'm going to try and stick to it as much as I possibly can. But yeah, she's always been a massive inspiration to me. And yeah, it's funny when you look back at people or things that might have shifted you into the direction that is your career now. And those people definitely have, the likes of Fern Cotton, the fact that I did a radio show, or tried to at least. I was definitely not this confident. I was so shy, and I would always go and just put the music on straight away because I would just be so anxious. But now it's like, no, I'm doing a whole podcast of me talking. I've got no music segments. It's just me for now anyway. But yeah, I also want to uncover how you build different elements of your personal brand so you can have this successful social media image. And there's so many things at the moment surrounding social media image, and I'm not going to bring anything too negative into the first podcast, but some of you may know there's been a lot of creators as of late who have been really under the microscope for things that they have said in the last 10 years plus, and there has been a lot of change in those years. And it's not to say I agree with anything that is ever shared and posted. Once it's out there forever, and you have to remember that. So I feel like this is coming at a good time, and I hope to inspire young people as well who are maybe using social media in a fun, silly way. For my generation, Twitter was where you would vent and you would say how you felt, and it was quite a sad place actually, looking back and seeing old tweets and things. It was quite a negative space. I mean, it still is a negative space, but nowadays I feel like it's TikTok, and people are sharing a lot of personal information on TikTok. So it's interesting to see how societally we change and we evolve and we go onto these new platforms. But you guys don't know who is saving that information down, where that information is going. And if you are hoping to get a job somewhere, things do have a karmic cycle, and there's a chance it could air in the future. So maybe if I can shed some light on that in some way. I'm in no way perfect. We all say things and tweet things and post things we simply regret afterwards. But yeah, it's interesting to see how there's a lot of people right now, big creators, who are being cancelled, and it's destroying their careers. It's destroying everything that they've built. So yeah, I feel like this podcast has come at a good time. Maybe not for them, but hopefully for you listening. And that kind of brings me on to my sort of last main topic for this episode, which is why there is never the perfect time to do something. And I've learnt this the hard way, guys. I seem to have goals for days. I will sit there and I will recreate my vision board every week, 2 weeks, however many times I need to recreate it. And yet I still dwell on things that I've just gone, oh, I really wish I did that. I wish I sorted that out last year. And it wasn't until I was doing my vision board for 2022 that I realised there was so many things that I should have done in lockdown. And I know that's easier said than done because it was depressing and it was a weird, strange time. But I do wish I utilised it better. And hindsight is 2020. I mean, the irony of that phrase. Let's try and forget 2020. I think when you have an idea in your head and it niggles at you, you just have to do it. You just have to see where it takes you. And there's been a lot of things that I've been saying yes to in the last couple of months, like, you know, things that haven't even gone well, but I'm glad I've done them. Like I did a public speaking talk for a marketing company, and your girl's got no marketing experience, but I was talking about the industry as a creator and I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I had all these bullet points. I thought, do you know what, if I over rehearse this, if I practice it too much, it's going to just go in one ear out the other and I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. But my fear got the better of me, and in the moment I did fluster, and I was next to women who were just insanely cool and they knew what they were talking about. They had their own businesses and they were talking passionately about what it is that they do, and I just sat there and I froze, and I thought, I had this sudden fear of imposter syndrome, and I was kind of looking around the event space, and for some reason I just froze with fear and I couldn't get any of my words out. And I'm not joking you, at one point there was a question and I started a sentence and it made no sense, and I just had to say, yeah, please move on, because I just couldn't think of anything to say. Even though the question was so easy, it was so frustrating. And I recorded myself actually because I wanted to see where it went wrong. I didn't think it was going to go wrong, but I wanted to see how I was public speaking and kind of work out what I could improve on. And let's just say, guys, it took me 2 weeks to watch that footage back because I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And actually, when I watched it back, it wasn't as horrendous as in my head and in the moment. So there's a method to the madness that is just jump and work out how to fly later. Obviously, sometimes you're going to plummet very, very quickly, or maybe you'll hit a branch on the way down. But there's a high chance that something good will come out of the situation. So just learning to jump, I think, should be the 2022 motto for the year. I also think as well, things don't have to be perfect initially. We have this idea in our heads that if we take action, everything has to be right. And I thought this as well for the podcast, because I thought, oh, I really want to do this and I want to have this fancy mic and I want to own this and I'm going to have this little studio set up and have it all organised. And then I thought to myself, hang on a minute, my brother's got a mic, which is the one I'm using right now. He's got all the equipment, he records music. I'm just going to do it in his room and we're going to make it happen. So here we are. Imagine that, guys. I'm in my brother's room recording this, and you never know, like things could really change very quickly. I could get to the stage where I do want to invest in my own equipment, but for now, why do I need to bother when the equipment is literally in the house and it's available and I can just get on and do it? So sometimes you just have to take messy action, inspired action. If you feel called to do something, just do it. Maybe there's something that you're thinking, oh, I really want to do today. Like maybe you just want to go to the beach for a walk and you want to, I don't know, run freely for like 20 minutes, or maybe you want to literally put your feet in the water. I did that recently and that felt quite freeing as well. It seems silly, but yeah, taking inspired action, messy action, doesn't have to be perfect. yeah, just not being scared to fail. I think we've got this complex, and sometimes, well, most of the time, I'm quite confident in this idea that if I mess up, I really don't care what people think. But then there's this like recall and this like maybe 1 or 2 week period each month, maybe it's hormonal, I don't know, where I just feel like, oh my God, everybody hates me. Everybody wants me to fail. That's what they must be thinking. And actually, that's just your inner child being scared of something or being scared to do something. And forget that inner voice that's telling you that you're not perfect and you're not good enough and now's not the right time. Like, sometimes you just have to do it. And some of the best things I have done in my life, I've done from just saying, okay, I'll go. Like, I've traveled to some amazing countries. I've seen, and met some amazing people. Sometimes I felt so out of my comfort zone and not prepared enough to do something, and then done it and gone, oh my God, that was the best thing ever. And because I wasn't prepared, there was a high from that as well. So things can go right. Always think about what could go right. Take messy action, take inspired action. If you want to be like a badass and you just want to get out there and do something, do it. This is my like call to you. And I just want to say, do it. You won't regret it. You'll regret the action you didn't take, and then you'll look back and go, oh, I really should have done that a year ago. Like, I probably could have launched this podcast in lockdown, let's be honest, and done a lot of other things that I had on my to-do list, but we're not going to go there. We're not going to be too self-critical either. So yeah, that's really what I wanted this podcast to be about. I'm hoping in the next few episodes, I think the next few episodes are going to be quite solo and just me chatting and getting comfortable and letting you guys in on my personality and my, mannerisms and how I chat away. I think it'd be nice to kind of get to know each other a bit better. I do have YouTube, and that's kind of where things stemmed from. I really loved creating YouTube video content. Actually, I have 2 channels. I really preferred vlogging because it felt so much easier to be rough and ready, and I could just get my words out than having to be so rehearsed and structured. I find my main channel a lot harder to create for, and actually I've not recorded anything on there for a long time. So I am weighing up my options with that. And it's not to say things aren't ever going to be on that platform again, but my vlogs, oh my goodness, I love them. And I feel like this is a really nice balance. It's, it's a vlog for the ears at the end of the day. But yeah, there's lots coming. I really hope you guys get excited for this podcast. And I just want to let you guys know that things probably are going to change around here. Maybe not super, super quick, but, as I evolve and learn new skills and develop, things are going to change over time. Like, intros might change, segments might be added or taken away. Just go with the flow if you can for the first few episodes, maybe the first season. And I just want you guys to take this final thought. This is just the beginning. You are embarking on this journey with me. And remember, think back to the pilot of your favourite show. So your Gossip Girls. I was going to say Desperate Housewives, but that was a very good show from the start. Like, you can't fault that show. Let's think about Gossip Girl. The first episode was, let's just say, not shocking, but it wasn't gripping, was it? But yet we stuck through God knows how many seasons, and by season 2 it got really, really good and we were hooked. So hopefully that is what I'm manifesting and envisaging for this podcast. And I really hope you guys stick around to see what the season 2 vibe is going to be. If it's all snazzy and whizzy, like, can you imagine? I'm visualizing it now, and I believe you guys are going to enjoy it too. So yeah, that is everything that I have for today's podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you want to see as well. I don't really know how I can engage with you on the podcast, I think I'm going to say and direct you to my Instagram, which you guys would have heard. Hopefully there was some cool intro at the beginning that I've managed to muster up, but my Instagram is at alicelucybradley, and you guys can DM me. You can send me stories of you listening to the podcast. That would be amazing too. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, and make sure you take some messy action today. That sounds a bit wrong as well, doesn't it? Take some inspired action. Do something crazy today. Set your soul on fire a little bit. And I really hope you have a fabulous week ahead. Stay sweet, guys. Oh my goodness. First podcast. Nailed it.